Hello and welcome back to Charlie's Crochet, or welcome, I guess, if it's your first time. In my last video, I mentioned that I was waiting on some yarn to make my sister's birthday present, and that finally arrived. So I'm so excited to get started with that. I'm lucky it arrived, actually, because when it was in the post, this bag got a massive rip in it, which is like more than big enough for a yarn to fall out of. So I was a little bit shocked, actually, that everything did end up being in the bag, but I am very pleased because I did not want to actually lose all the yarn I ordered. So what I've got is a whole bunch of these Shepjis, I don't know, the Katona ones, so that's a mercerized cotton, in this color, which if I remember, I think it's fur, but don't quote me on that one, and this sort of neon green color. So I got about 8 of the green and 9 of this. And that's to make the rival top. It's a knitted pattern from Low Key Knits. I saw it earlier this year when another Australian YouTuber I watch, We Are Wool People, was knitting one as a test knitter, I believe, and it just looks so good, and I thought that in green would be absolutely perfect for my sister. Oh, I should have told her to not watch this. Hopefully she's not watched this. She did subscribe to me, but I think she's not actually watching the videos, just, showing her support, because this isn't interesting to her. She's got her own hobbies to get on with. But yeah, I thought that it would look so good with the top part in this dark green and then sort of heathered with this lighter green throughout. I mistakenly thought that she tends to prefer like brighter or richer colors, which is why I didn't use the recommended yarn. I didn't order the recommended yarn, which is the Sandisgarn tin line. So my project will weigh about twice as much as it's supposed to, because that's what I had to order to get the recommended length of yarn for it. That's just how things work out sometimes. I did think that she'd have loved, I was considering doing it in the Sandisgarn ones, using mocha and another of the green colours, but I don't really think she's one for more earthy hues. I thought she tends to prefer maybe not necessarily brighter colours, but richer colours. So I hope that the richness of the dark green will kind of mute that neonness a little bit. I think it would look really great. I'm going to cast that on this week and probably not finish it by her birthday because that's next weekend. But it's good to have something going. At least I can get started on that. I'm not seeing her till May, so that's not really a rush. I also have to do my mum's birthday present, which was this yarn that I've had in the background here is for her present, and I'm quite keen to get on with that soon, but I wanted to finish my sister's first just because her thing comes first chronologically, which I guess that's not really sensible because I'm not actually seeing them both until May. I remember I wanted to start my sister's first because if I need to bring a project with me to my parents, I don't want to bring my mum's own birthday present to work on in front of my mum. But they're on a cruise now and I won't see them for a month, so it would have actually been an ideal time to finish my mum's birthday present, and I just did not think that through. But oh well, I'm doing my sister's first and it will be great. Very much looking forward to that. I ordered all of the yarn from Belle May Yarns, which is, I believe, in Victoria. So it's an Australian smallish yarn shop. I don't know. They have a fairly good collection of mostly the Shepjis ones, And they do a lot of the Lola Bobal garn manufacture. Which are kind of a cotton acrylic blend similar to the Hobbii Sultan ones, the unplied ones. I have used them in the past, and I do like that brand. And I really like this yarn shop. They have been very good with my previous orders, so I have gone back to them a couple of times, which is why I found these there, and I thought that they would be perfect. And the reason it took so long is because part of my order was on pre-order. So in addition to the ones for my sister, I got a bunch of different colours of these Shepji's River Washed ones, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I love this one, Yara. It's this gorgeous blue with like a halo-y purple on it. That is probably the most beautiful yarn I've ever seen, and I'm not kidding. That is my favorite color, purple, with my favorite blue. Like I love a sort of that colored blue, and I love like a brighter purple. I'm one for bright colors, if you can't tell, which is why I often actually have to order yarn for presents, because I don't keep a lot of what other people probably enjoy around, because I prefer much brighter, richer colors. I had to order sage yarn to make my cousin's birthday present, not my cousin's baby shower present actually, so her baby's birthday present, I guess, a while ago, and I was like never going to use the rest of the sage in another project because it's just not a color that I wear. I don't do earth tones. I much prefer like richer, darker colors, blue, green, purple. So I'm very impressed with this range, and so sad that it's been discontinued, so it's not available anymore. But I'm glad that I ordered it before it was. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with most of those colors. I thought that this would be a really good project. It's a really good color for like a snake. And my cousin has another baby coming soon, so I thought I might make them a snake sort of decoration plushie thing for his born day. She's not having, I don't think she's having a baby shower this time around, and I won't see her probably until like Christmas, but I don't know, actually, she might be there in May. I'm not sure. I think the baby's due in April, and she probably won't travel soon after that, but we'll see. I thought I'd have to make a little something anyway, because, yeah, new baby, new toy, you know. But yeah, so that was one of those colours that I had planned for. The other two, I'm not really sure, but I got this book of crochet mythical creatures, and I think that some of these blue colours would be really nice for some of the creatures in that book, so that might be what they end up being earmarked for. The other thing that I got was these stonewash colours, which are, I guess, the new equivalent to these river washed, although they're very different. They have kind of a longer transition and more colours in them. These ones all are just a sort of one main colour with like a lighter colour, giving it a fluffy kind of effect. Or not necessarily lighter, but different. Sorry. But yeah, I quite love them. It's like a blue and a yellow and a blue on top of a pink there. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, but what a shame that they're discontinued now. So I got these ones too to see how they would go, and they're all sort of mostly rainbowy. I thought this one was more rainbow, but I was a bit mistaken, but I do really quite like those colours too. And I got just a plain white one because I thought I made this bandana. I still have to weave in the ends, but this was with leftover yarn from a cardigan I made my sister a while ago, so I'm probably going to give her this to match it. But I made it as sort of a test case, and I thought we've been doing a lot of fundraising things for my choir, So I thought I might make some crochet bandanas and try to sell them to raise some money. We're going to Out and Loud in Perth this year, so we're trying to fundraise some money for flights for people who can't necessarily afford to pay their own. So I thought that might be a good opportunity for me to use some of my crochet skills for that. So that's why I got some rainbowy coloured yarn. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to starting my sister's my sister's birthday present first. But the bandanas make a nice quick sort of project to work on in like staff meetings at work and stuff. So I'll probably just have one on my desk on the go at most times. But yeah, that's my yarn haul that I got. And I did at the start of this year make something of a resolution to try to not buy any yarn. And I made it about a month and a half into the year before I bought yarn. All of the yarn I got these this year, and these ones for my mum. And I got all of those during Boxing Day sales, so I haven't bought anything since December. But yeah, I did need to buy something for my sister because I just don't have enough of any single colour that I can make her a wearable present, just because we are both bigger girls, obviously, and need like a lot of yarn to get wearables out of. And so while I do have a lot of colours of cotton, I just didn't have enough of any single colour that I could make this project that I really wanted to make. And I especially don't have a lot of greens. I mean, there's a fair amount, but there's not like a variety. I kind of only like mid-coloured greens usually. But I had been trying to use up my yarn, and I think I've been seeing a lot of people on YouTube especially talking about de-influencing overconsumption habits in knitting, which I think is a really good idea. And I think if I'm making a yarn haul video, I probably have a responsibility to talk about it. So here's my ramble, I guess. I do have a lot of yarn that I've accumulated since I started crocheting. And I've tried to kind of curb my habit a little bit of just constantly buying new yarn and to try and use up some of the ones I already have. It's for a long time I lived a long way away from my parents during COVID and like lockdowns and stuff, and I haven't had a very good mental health history, so I was for a long time using shopping as kind of not, retail therapy or whatever. It's not actually really true. I just lack a lot of impulse control, and one of the ways that come into effect in my life was overspending on things, overspending on yarn especially. The very first year that I learnt to crochet, I ordered enough of those Hobie Sultan yarn balls that I stacked them up into a Christmas tree. And I still have a lot of them. I haven't actually used most of them, although that's because I'm afraid to use them because I can't order any more. But I'm trying to get over that, which is why I used one in my last knitting project that I did. And I've been trying to use my backlog of cottons for amigurumis that I have here. And realistically, I probably could have found yarn in my stash to make something for my sister, and I could have found yarn in my stash probably to make something for choir, and I probably don't need to buy yarn. I'm very fortunate to be able to still afford to do that. I think that one of the reasons for this as a trend away from overconsumption is because of the economic stress that a lot of people in a lot of places in the world are under at the moment. So I'm very, very grateful that my job allows me to kind of occasionally splurge on unnecessary things like more yarn. But I definitely understand what a lot of people are talking about, and I sometimes do feel overwhelmed with the amount of yarn that I have. So I have been meaning to actually go through it. And I also don't think I want to use all of it. Sometimes you buy craft supplies that you don't actually like anymore when you come around time to use them, and this happened to me with sewing. I bought all of these lovely fabrics that when eventually I found some time to use them, they just didn't strike me the same way anymore, and I just didn't really have any interest in actually making anything out of them. I'm very, very lucky that in the city I live in, there's a lovely secondhand craft store that you're able to donate things to, and not just unused things. They even take like whips or like finished doilies and stuff, and then they resell them at less than retail, so it affords other people as well the access to these things that they might have a more restricted budget, and they can still, access their craft. And I really like that. So I have been meaning to go through my yarn because I know there are some that I don't want and I'm just never going to use, which I think it's a good way to solve your problem. So if you've been seeing all of these influencers saying, don't buy too much yarn, I think that that's a great idea. To try and use up your stash a little bit is great. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of yarn you have, maybe there's a way to get rid of it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be by using it if that's not something that you actually want to do. In addition to that, there's some thrift stores take unused yarn. I've had some luck giving away craft supplies on Buy Nothing groups on Facebook, so if you want to de-stash a little bit, you don't just have to use things. There might be other ways to get rid of things that you don't need. And on the contrary, if you feel like everyone else is buying way more yarn than you are, and everyone's constantly getting new things, and maybe you're feeling a little bit left behind by that, you don't have to keep up with them. You don't have to keep up with anyone. I do a lot of weird craft things, so I've never really been one to follow trends, and you see a lot of like the same projects. You don't have to knit a Sophie scarf because everyone else knit a Sophie scarf. Just keep up with yourself. As long as what you're doing is in line with your values and you're not feeling overwhelmed, then I think that's okay. And I really, really do like that we're de-influencing sort of commercialism in these hobby spaces. When I first joined crochet as a craft, it was during the lockdown. Sorry, I'm patting Winnie right now. She's come up right next to me and she whacks her butt into my leg to say she wants attention. But yeah, when I first joined crochet, there were all sorts of jokes about, don't tell my husband I've bought so much yarn, or I have all of these yarns and I have nowhere to put them anymore, or SABLE was an acronym that I learnt very, very early on, stash acquired beyond life expectancy. So the joke being that you literally could not use all of your yarn in your own lifetime. And I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy thing. So I am enjoying the message of sort of more moderation. I guess I feel a little defensive about having to buy so much yarn recently, or not even having to, about choosing to buy so much yarn recently, because I know I have so much already that I still have to use. But I think that it can still be reasonable. My mum likes to do something with clothes where every new one that she buys, she has to get rid of something. So I think that might become part of my philosophy, and I know that I've got a lot of yarn in my stash that I could go through and get rid of some. So that might be what I end up doing. I also think buying new yarn for a specific project is not necessarily a problem. Sorry. So I know I will use this yarn for my sister, and it will be used and it will be out of my house, and it's not hanging around and it's not gonna whatever. And I know that I will use these yarns for my choir, and they will be out of my space and they won't be hanging around and haunting me. The only one that I'm not sure about is these ones, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And now I feel like I need to have a project for them. Yeah, this has kind of become a rambling mess, but I think the key message is don't try and keep up with the Joneses, or don't keep up with the social media knitting influencers or whatever. You know, just do you and have fun. Don't make the hobby stressful. Don't make it yourself feel guilty over things. I think it is okay to buy beautiful yarn because it is beautiful, even if you don't have a project in mind. Would you do that every single day? No, but I don't think most people do, and I think a once in a while event is kind of okay. I haven't bought yarn in like nearly 2 months, and then I bought some yarn that I don't need, and I think that's okay. Yeah. On that hand though, I have 2 of these because that was my absolute favorite color, and I'm so glad I got it. And I don't know if that's enough to crochet anything with for myself. I've been wanting to make one of those mesh sleeves that people have, the ones that sort of super cropped so you can wear it over like singlets and it's just sleeves. Maybe this is enough yarn for that, and I might try that. But if you have any other project ideas for this, you know, let me know. I think one of these is destined to become a Loch Ness monster, that's all. And I'm just not sure about the other one. So I've got a snake, a Loch Ness monster maybe, and I got to find some other monsters to make maybe. And I'll let you know how that book goes too, because yeah, it looks fun, but I've not made anything yet. I did have a look through it, and they make like pieces and you can sort of sew them together for different projects. So I'm a bit excited to do that. But first, my sister's birthday present, and I really need to actually do that one first and keep focused on it. But yeah, thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, and let me know, have you bought yarn recently and what are you making? And if you have any ideas what I should make with this very beautiful discontinued yarn, let me know. I do kind of want something that I can wear because I think this is a yarn that people need to see. But yeah.